Hi guys, welcome to Amali Vlogs. Today I'm going to talk about 10 tips on how to make your resume as a fresher. So let's get started. So let's get to number 1, which is the first impression. I know most of the people think like first impression is just about you, but you dressed and make yourself comfortable in front of somebody for the first time. Have you ever thought the resume can have that same intention too? Like when you submit your resume to a hiring manager, the first impression that hiring manager gets about your resume matters a lot. Being a hiring manager, I know that for sure. As soon as you see a resume, sometimes it's very difficult to read too much of papers, too much of pages, and too much content, which is like really inside my mind make it like a point that I already have given some negative marks that I can easily reject that resume. So I think giving that first impression is very important. That is number 1. And to give that first impression, it's really important, put your contact details at the very beginning of your resume so that we know, as the hiring manager, as the recruiter, we know that whom we are referring to, because we have your name, contact details, so at least if we are interested in this resume, right away we can get to you. So that's important. Put it in bold and put it in the very top of the page, or even like somewhere in the very first few lines. Okay, so that is number 1, first impression, and put your contact details at the very beginning so that it will give an idea whose resume is this. Let's get to number 2. So when you write a resume, most of the people, they just keep on going and explaining about their job, which is not what the hiring manager looking at. I mean, if you put like a whole pile of words in one paragraph, it's so difficult for them to just catch their eye for that resume, because thousands and thousands of resumes hiring managers see every day. And if you want to stand out with your resume, make sure you put the points in point form. Just jot down certain things that is like highlights of your career in the very beginning of your experience. You just put it in point form. Even your education, you can just write down in point form that what you have done. So that is very important, because nobody's going to read like pages and pages, paragraphs and paragraphs. Hiring managers do not have time to go through thousands and thousands of resumes. So when they shortlist the resumes, they will definitely have that mindset, whichever that is catchy, they will put it first. And those resumes with long lengthy paragraphs, I'm telling you, it will not catch their eye. That is so sure of, guys. Being a hiring manager, I know that once you get like thousands and thousands of resumes to your hand, they're not going to look into that. So number 2 is very important. Let's get to number 3. This is really important. So when you have your resume, most of the people just submit the same resume to every job, which is complete a no. Guys, each job description has specific details, specific things that they are looking for. That is what hiring manager looks in the resume. If you want to stand out, if you want your resume to be shortlisted by the hiring manager, this is another very, very important thing to do. You create a resume according to the job description. You're not going to send the same resume to each and every job, which is not going to work out. Check the job description and create the resume accordingly. Like, make some little bit of changes, highlight what they are looking at within your resume, bold some of the lines, wordings, that matches the job description, so that catches the hiring manager's eye, and that is what you need. Okay, so let's get to number 4. As a fresher, when you get into the job market, it's very difficult to create a proper resume because you don't have much experience. But I'm sure you have a career plan. You have your education right behind you to back you up. So as a professional person, what your career looks like, what it's going to be, put one line as an executive summary of your resume that what is your career goal, what you are looking at. Even if you have experience, you can just put it on the very first line, few lines. Use that to put like just a gist of your resume. Basically, that line should explain what your career is, what you are looking for your future. That way the hiring manager will know, okay, this is the person we want, because this person is looking to the same career growth and the same career path as what we are offering, and they will look into the resume for sure. So make sure when you write your resume, have that kind of a tagline, or even just 1 or 2 lines explain the entire resume, probably in the shortest possible way. Alright guys, so let's get to number 5. This is another important thing. Sometimes people think resume is all about education and your experience and your contact details. Yes, I understand that, I agree that, but there's another thing you can add into a resume, which I most of the time use, so that that helps the hiring manager to understand who you are. That is your hobbies, your interests, and what you do in your leisure time. That is kind of a thing that will help the hiring manager understand that whether you have kind of that passion to the job, or your soft skills, like whether team building activities that you have done before, or some games, some sports that you have done. That helps the hiring manager to figure out whether your personality will fit into the company environment, instead of talking to you first, so they know that okay, this is the type of personality that I am looking at, which is very important, guys. But make sure when you put your hobbies and interests and your activities that you do in your leisure time, it doesn't contrast with the job that you are planning to do. Let's say, for an example, you need a job that doesn't need any interaction, or you need to have a job with like isolated environment, and you are more into like a hyperactive person who have a team all the time, you do team sports and things like that. It's like contrasting. This is not like a real scenario I'm talking, but it's a contrasting thing. So in the same way, that job description, if they have some specific soft skill that they need, if you have a very contrasting hobby or activity that you do, that might, like, let's say for an example, video games. If you play video games the whole day, they know if this job is a remote job, they will never trust you to give it to work from home, because they know that you are addicted to video games. So things like that, just think about it before you put. But I think it's always good to have some hobbies and interests written in your resume, so that it helps the hiring manager to figure out whether you are the right candidate for the company. Okay guys, so let's get to number 6. Okay, so this is another thing you can look into when you make the resume, which is like, some people, when they start doing the resume, they were like, okay, I completed this degree, I completed this diploma, it's all the same word. Do not do that. Just mix and match in your resume. Whenever you write down details, it's so easy if you mix and match and write, and it's very interesting to read. Don't make the hiring manager feel boring reading your resume. So have that, the resume is a little bit interactive, a little bit exciting kind of a thing, a little bit catchy. Make it like so nice and so attractive that hiring manager cannot keep your resume to a side. And as I said in my previous video, they are doing a job, and they have plenty of resume every single day on their table. To be honest, they are very, very tired, because every single day look into such a lengthy resume. That is what they do in their career. So it's really a mentality that you need to keep when you give the resume to them. Make sure that that you catch their mentality. You talk to their mentality. You make them, look into your resume with a good mindset. You can do that with these tips. Alright guys, so let's get to number 7. This is like very important, not as a fresher, but if you have some experience, even little experience in a company, what you can do is, when you put your experience, always make sure, put some of the achievements that you have had in that company. Like for an example, you created a spreadsheet to have the cash flow of the company, which you started it. So you can put that as an achievement that you had in your company, which nobody has done before. So when you went to the company, you realize there's no statement, cash flow report. So you created. Or let's say they didn't have a proper way of having the customer data they had. So you went ahead and created a spreadsheet for them to keep their customer data secure and in one page, like for everybody to look into, for the company needs. So something like that, guys, like put some of the achievements that you have had in your previous company, so that hiring manager understands, instead of just telling, okay, I did this, I did this, I did this is my job role, this is this. No, some kind of achievement makes you highlighted about that position, which catches hiring manager's eye. So make sure every company that you work, anything special that you have done, highlight it under the wording saying achievements. Every company, that is what I did in my resume. Always, like, I put my company experience, and underneath that I put an achievement, what I have done, like specially achieved within that company. Let's say even like I created a team building activity, so that every month or every year, every 6 months, I did that to build up the spirit within the team, which is a nice thing to do, even though it is not really related to your work, but it's okay. Just put it as achievement. That will make the resume much nicer, much attractive. Okay, guys, so let's get to number 8. Okay, so when it comes to soft skills, most of the people, what they do is they put their soft skills as like, oh, I'm a team player, oh, I'm very honest, I am loyal. These words doesn't have much of gravity unless you put it with some examples inside the resume. Like, let's say, just instead of putting I'm a team player, you just go ahead and say, okay, we had a team building activity and our team won that, or my team, we make sure that we achieve the target first. Something like that. That way they understand, okay, you are a team player, instead of like you are saying I am a team player. See the difference? That's what you need. You're not gonna say that. Those soft skills, make sure give them with the example, just by instead of saying the wording. That type of example, that will help the hiring manager to understand that you have the skill that is needed, instead of just saying that, right? So make sure these things are very important in your resume, guys. As a fresher, if you are creating a resume, make sure you go through these tips and make your resume. All right, so let's get to number 9. So when you create a resume, some of the people, I know if you're a fresher, that's fine, but if you had like so many experience behind you, like so many jobs that you have worked before, guys, you do not have to put everything in the paper. Sometimes, like, even like pretty much like the same company, different roles, they put it as different options, different job titles, kind of a thing. Do not do that, because so many job titles does not look good in your resume. So many companies does not look good in your resume. You don't have to do all that. Just sometimes, even if you use it, like, let's say even there is a gap in your career, it's okay, it's fine. What you can do is just put the year. You don't have to put the month. Just put like from 2012 to 2013, I did this. So even there is a gap in between, it's okay. You don't have to mention everything. From 2013 to 2014 or 2014 to 2015, you did this. Something like that. So that way you are just covering those gaps, and it's not really mentioned, but you're not hiding much. You're not like lying either. You're just putting details which is needed, which is relevant, and the hiring manager will understand your career path. So make sure, do not show gaps in your resume, and also you do not have to put all the stuff that you have done, like even those part-time jobs that you do, like weekend jobs. Do not have to. Just put some steady jobs that you have done for a certain period, which is longer the better. So that way your resume have a validity, that resume has some weight when you submit like that. Okay, so let's get to the last, number 10. So when you put like your educational qualifications, let's say for an example, you are planning to do another exam, maybe PNP or maybe CCNA. If you're planning to do another exam like in another 6 months, you can say this particular certification is pending in 2021, or this particular certification is pending in 2022. So it's like that way the hiring manager will know that you have an intention of doing that, and that also helps the hiring manager to know that you are focused, you have a career path that you are working on, which is really good, guys. So make sure not just the educational qualifications you already have, but also the ones that you are planning to complete in the future, which is really important, and it is another key thing that you need to work on when you create your resume. Alright guys, so I hope these 10 points will help you as a fresher to make your resume looks beautiful and exceptional from all of that. So let's see what those 10 are. Number 1 is the first impression. Make sure your first impressions is very good, that hiring manager cannot reject your resume at all. And make sure you put your contact details in bold, so that way hiring manager know whose resume is this, and if they need, they will right away contact you, instead of looking into those details like turning pages over and over, because sometimes it's very difficult to find the contact details. Number 2, when you write down your experience and your qualifications, you write it down in point form. Number 3, make sure you create a resume for each and every job description that you submit. Do not use the same resume to every job, because that job description, you need to highlight what they are looking at in your resume. Very important. Number 4, you put an executive summary on top of your resume, so that the hiring manager will understand in a glance that what your career path is, what your goal is, just in one line. It's basically just a summary of your entire career, your resume, so that the hiring manager get the gist of it right away. So that way they will look into it, or they will change, like reject it, because if that is not what they are looking at, they will completely take it out. It's you don't have to waste your time, or you're not wasting their time, which is really good. Just going through the entire resume and they figure out, okay, this resume is not good, useless. So make sure you make their job easy. Get that tagline on the very first top of your resume, and make sure you give them a clear description about what your career goals are. Number 5 is adding your hobbies, your interests, and things that you do in your leisure time in your resume, which gives a very good understanding about your personality. But make sure when you do this, do not put contrasting hobbies that doesn't tally with your job description. Okay, so number 6 is mix and match words. Don't put the same wording in every line that you use, like I completed, I did this, I did this, I did. So just instead of that, change your wording. Number 7, put an achievement under every job that you did, so that they will understand what your achievements that you have done, particularly in your role, instead of going through and reading a whole paragraph. So under each company, just have another subtopic as achievements, and you can put 1 or 2 achievements that you have done. Number 8, show your soft skills with an example. Instead of saying like I'm a team player, put some things that you have done as a team player, so that the hiring manager have a clue about what you exactly did, and that way they will figure it out whether you have that soft skill or not. Number 9, do not put all your jobs and all your part-time opportunities, weekend jobs in your resume, and do not leave gaps. You can just use the year instead of the month, so that way you are not basically lying, but you are also just covering up, and make a resume which doesn't show up your gaps, and also like it has a flow there. And number 10 is putting your future certifications that you are planning to do. That will help the hiring manager to understand that you are looking to a proper career, you have a goal in life, you have a mindset to grow in whichever your career path. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you got some clues on making your resume. So make sure you subscribe to my channel to get more information about how to get into job market and many more things that will help in your life. So I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.